It's well, basically the involvement. I mean, the involvement is being just that. It's now about it is about branding. It's about the ability to. I mean, obviously the internet's came on and made a huge difference, but you know, hip hop has become a culture, so it makes it a little different. You know, it's not just about rap music. Like rock and roll really was a culture. You know, I'm rock and roll. That used to be the tag when I was growing up. It wasn't even about, you know, you could listen to rock and roll music, but you was rock. If you were rock and roll, you know, you were rock and roll. It was even before the punk rockers or before a lot of. It was just straight ahead rock. You know, and rock had a broad genre. Even in the early days of, you know, looking up at Otis Redding, in the early days of those cats, it was called R&B, but they didn't. The R was something that was created, you know, by some people over at Atlantic Records. That's rhythm. It really was blues to those guys. So it wasn't, you know what I'm saying? It wasn't about, so everybody did what they did. Everybody, you know, they made blues. You know, you couldn't tell. I don't know, how would you label the Beatles? I would guarantee most people thought they were probably just a young rock pop. And back then, pop, Beatles did make it pop. So you know what I'm saying? When you put labels on it. And I think with rap, which is what it was, and rap kind of became hip hop, and people referred to hip hop as rap. But then the way we wear clothes, the swag, the you know, the bagginess, the lifestyle, it became just that. And so as it became a lifestyle, as it became a culture, then you have to market that culture, and then that culture became the parties, and it became the, you know, the bling, as they say. Everything started being raised in size and in volume, and you know, and you started seeing ads in magazines all of a sudden that looked like they were glowing and shining versus just flat, you know, stuff. And I think all of that has played in. So, you know, I've always referred to Jermaine and Diddy and some of the others as marketeers, because that's what they do. They grew up in the game. They grew up around the game. They've watched cats like myself, Andre Harrell, Russell Simmons, you know, a few others in that world to make moves, and L.A. Reid and those guys in a different kind of way. But they've watched all these folks, and it was always about, oh, I'm out to do them. I'm sure Jermaine, he probably would never admit it, but deep down, I'm gonna blitz my dad. He ain't even on the map compared to what I'm gonna do. I'm sure at some point that probably crossed his mind, but it was all good, you know. I think you got to leave tracks and leave things so people can follow, and hopefully they can excel and surpass what you've done. So that's why, even for me, man, I feel very proud of Jermaine. I'm proud to meet myself, and then a lot of these young artists, you know. Most of them call me Pops, just because they've been around a long time. They know, you know. Most people that would hear that, though, just thinks it's just a reverent term, you know. And even they used to think that with me and Jermaine, as he said, oh, you know, I'm gonna talk to my dad about this. They thought it was just a reference. You know, Bow Wow almost calls Jermaine like his pops and dad, but he ain't really. But we had a real, and most people again didn't. They just thought I managed Jermaine because, you know, Mauldin, Dupree, they wasn't really putting it together. You know? So when you just asked me about marketing, we spend a lot of time, energy, effort on marketing and setting up things and doing them the way we need to do them. So all of a sudden, if I say, oh, I'm setting up for this, and I got this date, and I'm going to back it out here, believe me, there's a plan. So if all of a sudden someone says, oh, here's Bow's album out, and it's a month ahead of time, well, my plan just went to, you know, to be honest with you. So I've got to now figure out, okay, now how do I regroup? It's no different than anything else. So yeah, no, that would be my biggest dismay. It's not so much about, because nowadays, particularly in hip hop, music burns so fast. So we have a game plan for Bow now in my mind that carries him all the way into the summertime based on touring and everything else. If the album leaks, you know, then that throws that off a little. You know, we try to come up with plans and alternate plans that could help, but that probably would upset the cart a little bit. You know, I wouldn't want that to happen, but you know, there are songs that we're putting out ourselves right now. We're leaking to some degree individual songs for the album, and they ain't really for the album. They're songs that was being originally recorded with the album in mind. So we're now putting those songs out there, and just to be ahead of time. But that's all part of promotion.